What's up, guys? Welcome to your 103rd Android tutorial for the new Boston. And what we're going to do in this tutorial, we're going to learn about the progress bar. But before we start, I just want to point out a quick error that I made in the last tutorial, which I'm sorry for. But a good thing I decided to do the progress tutorial because I would have missed this completely. So we had this third method called onProgressUpdated, and it's actually supposed to just be onProgressUpdate. And I'll show you what that does a little bit more in this tutorial, since we're going to get a little bit more familiar with this async task. So the first thing we need to do is we need to set up our progress dialog, is what it calls it. So within this class, what we're going to do is we're going to say progress dialog, something like dialog, like that. And we're going to set it up to equal anything. What we're going to do now is within this on pre-execute, we're just going to delete what we had and delete the string because we don't really care. It's still going to be called this way, or it's still going to be called here. Again, before it calls this string here, or this do in background type method. So we're just going to delete what it takes within its parameters, and we're going to set up our dialog. So what we're going to do is say dialog equals new progress dialog, and it takes a context, so we're going to refer to our main class up here called internal data. And so we're going to say internal data, which again is our main class name, and then we're going to say dot this. So we're getting the context of our main class, and that's where we're going to want our dialog to display. Now we can add some stuff to this dialog, so we're saying dot like set progress style, and there's some defaults that we can refer to from the progress dialog class. So we're just going to refer to like a horizontal style one. So we're going to say style horizontal. Finish that. Dialog set maximum. And we could like get like how much byte, or how much data we're working with, but for the most part we're just going to set up a dubious type of dialog. So we want the max to be 100 just for this example. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to say dialog dot show. So we set it up and then we show it. Again, pretty simple. For the most part, you guys should be kind of familiar with creating something. Actually, I'm not for sure how much stuff we've created in Java, but basically this is just creating a dialog for us with the maximum of 100, and we display it. And again, this is only going to be created and displayed when we call this on pre-execute. So again, when our onClick method, we had that load button, it's going to call this first before it actually tries to load the data. So now what we want to do is we want to go into this do in background, and what we're going to say is we're going to create a for loop before it actually tries to load data. Again, we're just kind of making a dubious type of dialog here. So what we're going to say is for, and we're going to set up an int called I, and we're going to set it equal to be 0. Then we're going to put a semicolon. Then we're going to say as long as I is less than, let's say 20, oops, I is less than 20, and we're going to increment by 1. Now I'm not sure if we've done for loops yet or not. It's kind of a Java thing. All we're saying is while we're initially starting our variable to be 0, and while that variable is less than 20, loop through again, and then it's going to increment that number by 1. So it's going to loop through this 20 times for the most part. Now what we need to do is we need to kind of reference this on progress update here, and we do that by a command. And the command is called publish progress. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass in, oops, and then within parentheses we pass in what we want for the most part. So we're going to pass in 5. So now what we're going to do is it's going to loop through 20 times and send 5 each time to this on progress update. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our dialog again that we created. We're going to say increment progress by, and we're going to kind of access whatever we publish progress up here in our do in background. So since we're passing 5 in, it's going to update by 5 if we refer to that. And again, we're passing in an array, and you're like, what? We aren't. We're just passing in one number. How's that an integer array? Well, it still is classifying it as an array at the position 0. So what we're going to say is our integer array we called progress here. And we're just going to say progress, and since it is an array, we have to have the boxes, and we're going to refer to position 0, which again is going to be that 5. So we're just going to update our dialog, by 5 each time it gets called, each time this publish progress gets called. And then after all that's done, we need to still close our dialog box. So it's going to be, going through this loop for, actually that's going to go really quick. So let's add a sleep within here. So again, this kind of review, thread.sleep, and we're going to sleep for, let's do 88 milliseconds for some reason. I don't know. We're just going to do that, and then we have to surround this with a try and catch. So now it's going to sleep for 88 milliseconds each time before it, call updates or increments by 1, and then each time again it's going to pass 5 in down here. We update our progress bar by 5, and then once it's complete, or once this for loop's done, we've reached 100 for the most part. What we're going to do now is we're going to refer to our dialog and just close it. So we're going to say a dialog dismiss, and that's just to get rid of it, because it's going to be caught up in this loop for however long 88 milliseconds times 20 is, and then after it's done doing that, we're going to dismiss our dialog. So let's run it, make sure everything works. I know we went through a lot of stuff in this tutorial, but again, if you guys think you follow along and you're getting problems, make sure this isn't updated like this. Like I said in the last tutorial, delete that D. It's on progress update. So that's kind of a key point. And then also, we just set up our dialog, and nothing too complicated there. So hopefully this works. And again, if you guys need the source code, if this is one of your first tutorials, you haven't been following in the series, just go to mybringback.com, go to the tutorial section, and under the Android section of that, there should be the new Boston, and there should be the whole package, the source code you can download, all that stuff. So let's just hit our load data, creates a progress bar, updates by 5 for each time it goes through that for loop. And then when it's done, or when the for loop's done, it's going to dismiss the dialog, and then it's going to call our file input output stream. So again, we can just say test save load data, and then it loads. So I mean, that progress bar has nothing to do with the actual loading of data. It's something completely different, dubious for the most part. But I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. We're going to learn about external storage. So have a good one.